Woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Oh, woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Oh, woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah.
This is Pass the Mic.
Dynamic voices for a diverse church. This is Pass the Mic.
Greetings and God bless. Welcome to another episode of Pass the Mic, Dynamic Voices for a Diverse Church, powered by The Witness, a Black Christian collective. I am your host, Tyler Burns. You can follow me on Twitter at Burns23. Follow at your own risk. And joining me, as always, is the president of The Witness, the man, the myth, the legend, the best-selling author, Mr. Blue Check Verified himself, Jemar Tisby. What's up, man? Hey, yo, you looking? You try to throw me off with your little hand gestures here.
You know, I'm just
this boy look like an air traffic controller out here.
On your level.
Nah,
you know,
man.
Preachers preach with their hands. You know how it is.
You a preacher, too. What you tripping about? Yo, what's up, man? How you doing?
Man, I'm loving this series. We getting into some things, and I hope people understand a little bit more about sort of the philosophy, the motivation, the ideas behind what we do and how we do what we do. Because I would argue we're a bit of a unique flavor out there.
Absolutely. So we talked last week about the witness of justice. And as we think about the witness of justice, I know you wanted to make a point about kind of all that as well. Just in our conversation, you were talking about a couple of things that you wanted to reiterate.
Yeah. So one thing that we didn't really have time to get into, and I'll just mention it briefly here, is the fact that I have seen so many non-Christians witnessing for justice in powerful ways. So I was at a conference called the Making and Unmaking Mass Incarceration Conference with all the leading lights and thinkers about criminal justice reform, prison abolition, all of these things. And many of them were not believers. They were very far from confessing faith in Jesus Christ. And yet they will risk their jobs and money and comfort for the sake of justice for others. So, you know, in a theological lens, we call this common grace, right? Like anybody, no matter how close or far they are from the true and living God, they can express a desire for the well-being of others and work very hard for it. But my point here is this. So often as Christians, we refuse to link arms with other people simply because they're not Christian. And to me, part of the witness of justice means being present wherever injustice occurs and working with whomever is working against injustice. Now, there's all kinds of caveats, right? Like when you partner with somebody on one cause, it doesn't mean you partner with them on everything. It doesn't mean you co-sign or affirm everything they believe or whatnot. But
just like any other relationship.
Just like any other relationship, right? But it's become so stigmatized to like Black Lives Matter.
Right.
It's not an explicitly Christian movement, so we can't get involved. Right. Yeah. And I just think that's very off.
Yeah.
And especially because many times there's not a quote unquote Christian alternative, right? Like
sure.
There's nothing that Christians are offering that are as broad or have as much organization or as much potency as these other movements or initiatives might have. So it's just something to think about and consider, right? Okay. Like is the line you draw for justice, I will only work with other Christians, and then even what kind of Christian, right? Do they check every box I check?
I mean, you start having to narrow it down continuously at different stages,
endless
different
parsing
degrees
of it. So just something to think about. And I think it's also just a powerful Christian witness if we are involved in justice causes, even with people who don't share our same transcendent beliefs or faith convictions.
Well, there's a lot to unpack there. We're not going to talk about it this episode, but we would definitely need to put a pin in that and talk about that later in this series as well. The witness of our faith in broader society. But today, as you probably heard from the little clip at the beginning, which set the episode off right. We are talking about the witness of art, the witness of Black art, to be specific. And this is obviously in the series, Can I Get a Witness? And so we're talking about our philosophy, everything that as it relates to how we think and believe, how we view the world from a Black Christian perspective here at the Collective. So I have to make a honest admission here. We're recording this around the time of the Oscars. So the Oscars for us, we have not seen them. So if you're like, man, this might have completely contradicted what we're saying, but we saw the nominees, and one of the films that did not get nominated, and a film that I know a lot of people have been saying they're going to go see and patronize and support, is Just Mercy. Now, you're a big fan of Bryan Stevenson. We've had him on the podcast. You can go back and listen to that episode. But this film actually is kind of basically a retelling of his book, a dramatic retelling of his book, featuring Michael B. Jordan, Jamie Foxx, Brie Larson. I have to admit something to you, Jemar. As it stands at this recording, I have not seen this film.
That's not admission. That's okay.
But the admission is, I don't think I can see this film.
Oh.
I don't think I can go to this film.
Why is that?
I'm not boycotting the film. I'm so excited that the film is doing well. I don't know if I can take any more of these movies.
Yes.
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know if I can take it. So a lot of people don't know this, but I'll tell you this, and I guess all our listeners too. I was actually on the set of Just Mercy when it was when they were doing the filming. So just for a day, it wasn't like I was a consultant. It wasn't like I'm chummy with Michael B. Jordan and Jamie Foxx, but I was there. And the particular scene, there was a man who was incarcerated who was meeting Bryan Stevenson, and it's kind of a pivotal moment in Just Mercy, the book. And the man started singing, I'm pressing on the upper way, new heights I'm gaining every day, so he was singing that, and it was really powerful. And I remember sitting back thinking, everybody around, especially, it's a very, a lot of white people on the set. They were like, wow, it's so powerful.
Yeah.
And I was kind of sitting back. I'm like, I don't want to see this on screen. And it's powerful. I'm just so tired of these films. And I don't know. I think it's just reached critical mass for me. And I think it happened very quickly. Normally, I would say, no, we need to support them, make as many of these films as you want to make. And I don't know. I guess it's 2020, new year, new me. I don't know if I can take it anymore. And part of this was because, you see the Oscar nominations. Oscar nominations reveal a lot about what, the Academy would consider to be high art.
Yes,
right?
Values, yeah.
And you nominate Cynthia Erivo for Harriet. Great, awesome. But Lupita Nyong'o for Us is not nominated, right? That's a different type of role, but the slave role gets nominated. Right? You see, obviously, Green Book.
Boy. Oh, man.
Which we could talk about. Oh, my goodness. Don't even get us started on that. You see crooks and criminals who, are portrayed by Black people.
Yeah.
You see slaves.
Denzel get his first and only
Training
Oscar
Day.
For Training Day.
Well, no, his best actor.
Best actor.
for Training Day.
Yeah.
And then Halle Berry for Monsters Ball.
Right.
And, Jamie Foxx for Ray. That was a good one, portraying Ray Charles, the Academy's love for biopics. Bro, I don't know if I can go see any more of these struggle movies. I don't know if I can see any more of this, bro.
For so long, our stories haven't been told. And now we're finally gaining the entree in Hollywood to tell them on a broad cinematic scale. But at the same time, these stories are still occurring. So Just Mercy is a contemporary story of Bryan Stevenson's experience as a lawyer working with incarcerated people on death row. So that's not a, ancient history right. kind of tale that we're telling about antebellum slavery or anything like that. The fact is we're still undergoing these struggles, and the stories still need to be told. And so how do we get it out there? But I feel you. I totally feel you. I've never seen 12 Years a Slave. I've never seen, Amistad, things like that.
You talk about Regina King for Bill Street Could Talk. I still haven't seen Bill Street Could Talk.
Yeah.
I feel so bad about it too.
But see,
because
I don't
I'm
think
like,
you should.
I can't.
I've gone through this
watch these
conversation
films
with myself all the time, and a lot of people across the racial spectrum are like, "Oh my gosh, you haven't seen that movie?" I'm like, "No." First of all, I live it every day. Secondly, we talk about it every week.
So as we think about this whole idea of what is black art, and this is just in one sphere, right? A very limited sphere, which is movies, right? We talk a lot about visual arts, but there's also the witness of black music as well. I remember reading this particular quote in 1619, the project that Nicole Hannah-Jones organized, and Wesley Morris. I had this phenomenal episode talking about, black music in the New York Times Daily Podcast. And as he was writing about it, he said in this particular quote, "For centuries, black music forged in bondage has been the sound of complete artistic freedom. No wonder everybody is always stealing it."
Ooh.
So he's talking about this history of black music and how it's kind of been co-opted, appropriated, and stolen. And then you think of a whole other side of black art that we don't really talk about. And that's paintings, and that's sculptures, and that's, museum art, and theater art in places where we wouldn't even be. And it leads me to ask this question: what is the witness of black art? Particularly, why do we make art in the first place? What is the purpose of it? And is it helpful for us to make black art for the approval of the white populace? Is it helpful for us to make black art in mixed company? Or is it necessary for us to kind of retreat to our enclaves? Because, as I think about it, my sister, she was asking me, she's like, they got this new BET streaming service, right? So I was like, yeah, cool. And she's like, "You're going to get it?" I'm like, "No." And she was like, "Why not?" I'm like, "Because I don't need another streaming service. But I have Disney Plus and Netflix and Prime." And it's like, okay, so, she's like, "Well, why not?" And so it makes me ask this question, like, what is the witness of black art? And what is the purpose of why we do creative things? Is it to be approved? Is it to be accepted? Is it to win these awards?
Man, you digging deep in the liberal arts humanities side of the educational spectrum.
Well, I guess I should give you guys some background. Off mic, Bo and I were having this conversation about the particular music video song "This Is America" by Childish Gambino, aka Donald Glover. I don't know if he mentioned himself as Childish Gambino or Donald Glover in that one, but "This Is America" obviously won Grammy for Best Song, Best Record last year. And we talked about it at length. And I kind of sat back and said, what was that for? I ain't talked about it. I ain't played it in months.
What was the lasting impact?
Yeah, like, what was it for? There was no album that followed it. He was like, they asked him about it. He's like, "Well, just leave it up to interpretation, And so Bo was like looking at me like, "Bro, come on." But I'm saying it was nice for that, 2 weeks when we were breaking it down.
It was a moment.
And then I heard they played it in the club or something and people got down to it. Great. This Is America. A real banger.
Guns in your area.
But now I'm thinking, like, what was the point of it? And it won all these awards, right? And so I guess the question is, how does the art that we have today from a black perspective, or even a black Christian perspective, how is that art properly carrying on the tradition of art within our community and the tradition of witness through the arts?
Well, as I think about this topic generally, it occurs to me, and probably others have said it before, but the movement always needs a muse, always needs art, and is often accompanied by art. So any sort of great justice movement has music, visual art, clothing, all associated with it.
It has a sound, yeah.
Yes, there's an aesthetic to it. So if you look at the Black Power movement, there are different segments of Black Power. Most people are familiar with sort of the political and organizing segment of Black Power, but there's also a cultural arts movement, a Black arts movement that comes about at this time. And so the most iconic visual is of the Black Panthers, right?
Right.
Black leather coats, afros, the picks, which was a celebration of their African heritage.
I'll pull my pick out right now.
But this is also the time where Black people in America start wearing dashikis, necklaces and jewelry, all kinds of things. They changed their names, right, to African names. So this was all part of the Black consciousness movement.
Yeah.
And you can look at other movements, right? So the song that opened us up was being sung by Fannie Lou Hamer and was a song she often sang and other activists often sang on marches, boycotts, pickets, protests, etc. There's always this soulful element. And I think that's gets to your question, right? What is sort of Black art, Black Christian art? It's the visual, material, auditory, sensory expression of the soul.
And I think there's so much about Black art that is representing where we are as a people.
Yep.
I think about Kendrick Lamar's All Right. And even in fairness, Donald Glover's This Is America too, which really does speak to where we are.
Yes.
It speaks to the movement, which is why everyone kind of jumped on it when it came out. And it was unexpected and the visuals and there was a breakdown. But I think of something like Kendrick Lamar's All Right, which visually is so stunning. And it's this really interesting mix, especially at the beginning of the music video, when you see these police officers like carrying this car, and then you see the different aesthetics of culture. Then you see Kendrick flying through the street. And it's like, wow, this is like where we are from the place of, representing the plight, representing the struggle, but also representing just the intensity and the ferocity of our personal identity. And so you got these kids, they're dancing like in the middle of the song. You're like, wait, what? Like everything kind of shifts. And then it goes from back and forth to struggle to like this anthem and chant of we're going to be all right. And then also at the end, he dies, so it's like this mix and you're like, okay, that's kind of how we feel.
Yep.
Like we kind of feel like rallying. We kind of feel like dancing. And we might die, like there's a whole bunch of that goes into it. And so I think art kind of represents where we are and it's an outlet for us to be honest about where we are. And then the consuming of art also has this cathartic property. So I think about Solange. Right? So I think about listening to Solange, it had a seat at the table. It had this sense of healing, like it was like washing over your soul. It was like washing over your heart. It was like a deep breath. And it's like, yes, she's perfectly summarizing where we're at. And that there's a power in art that a podcast can't accomplish, that a sermon can't accomplish, that a history lesson can't accomplish. I may not be able to tell it to you right, but I might be able to sing it to you right.
Yes.
And that might get you in the place. And it also might be a perfect summation of where we're at right now.
So when I think of this topic, the arts, I think we're meaning as sort of a broad category to encompass all kinds of artistic expression, music, movies, performance art, dance.
Yo, so dance, like, and even that, I don't know, even that, the releasing, the freeing of, we don't have acts. Sometimes people take our bodies, to use the Ta-Nehisi Coates idea. Sometimes we lose our bodies. People take our bodies. And now the beauty of not having to be Gnostic and think that our bodies don't matter, right? And disembodied people, but we're fully embodied. And the freedom and joy of that. You did that Joy and Justice. You was going in, bro.
There's no evidence that it's ever occurred.
No, but I mean, even that moment, that's so powerful. The excitement, it takes over.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think we see that even within Black church. And
exactly. I was thinking of liturgical dance.
Yeah, liturgical dance.
All the line dances that we have.
Oh man,
Cupid Shuffle to you name
the wobble,
right? The electric slide, man. all of these things become cultural touch points, particularly of Black joy when you're talking about dance. But dance can really express anything. You know, you think of Alvin Ailey and the incredible movement that he really helped birth through his dance company, and the vision he gave people. You think the first Black premier ballerina,
Missy Copeland?
Missy Copeland. Yes. Amazing to see that representation in this style that has been so dominated by Europeans and white people. So, you know, the expressions of dance in all kinds of areas. But there's so much, right? Like, it just, again, this idea of it's expressing our soul, which is the word soul has this really deep connotation of Afrocentricity. It's the blend of the suffering we've endured, the joy we've forged and fought for, the ongoing struggle for both the racial identity and the pride in who we are. And then the art flows out of that. Right.
It's our Africanness. So I would love for us to talk a little bit more about this idea of Christian art and how it intersects. But first, we have to go to a break. So stay tuned as we talk more about the witness of art. So Jemar, we were just talking about specific instances of art, and I really want us to tell stories of when art moved us, and then we can talk about more of the particulars and the mechanics and maybe a definition of why art is so important to our witness. But what was a time that art moved you? It met you at the right moment.
Yeah.
And it found you and it really spoke to you. Where you were.
I don't even have to think about it. I know right off the bat. Trip Lee's song Could Have Been Me.
Okay. You use that a lot too.
Yeah. And so when you're talking about earlier, you know, art meets us in a moment and really expresses where we are right then. That song just hit because the theme is police brutality and the killings of unarmed Black people at the hands of law enforcement. And so Trip Lee is talking about, we see all these human beings who have become hashtags, but as Black people, we know it could have been me, or it could have been someone I know, someone close to me, someone who I love. And he just expressed in artistic form the communal sense of suffering that we get when we see a Black person being murdered by the people who are supposed to serve and protect. So that song, you know, especially in 2015, 2016, you know, sort of the height of when we were having these conversations, I would often go back to it. And it's an interesting experience because it's a very sobering song, but it was also cathartic for me to listen to it, because sometimes you have this emotional stopgap in you where you feel all of this stuff, but it's trapped inside you, and it takes art to release that emotional pressure. So that would often do it for me, you know, so listening in tears and in reflection and in sympathy and in anger, all of that. What about for you?
Yeah, so I think one in particular that it was really important for me in the 90s. I think it came out in the 90s, but the New Nation Project, Kirk Franklin.
Yes.
And so this is kind of how art kind of intersects with our Christian expression, because the New Nation Project was kind of this young Christian manifesto. It was kind of this moment where you could stand up, and especially in our context. So I grew up in, you know, what people call like mega church culture or whatever, you know, in the Pentecostal charismatic movement. And so that whole intersection, Kirk Franklin was really for us, and it was for a lot of other people. And, you know, he went on, you know, all these other shows, but it was for us. It was like the pushing forward of, it was really the broadening and expanding of Christian expression, what was allowed in Black Christian expression.
Was that Kirk Franklin's background?
Yeah, like, I think Kurt Franklin's background was a mix. I think it was Baptist and also kind of that Pentecostal side, but more so like missionary Baptist. But I remember how that one project, everyone was kind of converging on it. So much so that my favorite artist, Fred Hammond, they were friends.
I didn't
they
know
were
he was your favorite.
Yeah, 100%.
Man, I love Fred Hammond.
100%. And so my favorite artist, Fred Hammond, him and Kirk were, had done songs together. And he even said in a live DVD, I don't know what my boy Kirk doing. I don't know what he doing. And I remember I was just sitting back. I was like, what? And I was like, man, this is a moment because everyone's critiquing his intersection with popular culture and the mainstream.
Honestly, we need to do a whole episode on the impact of Kirk Franklin.
We should. Yes. We should. He should come on the show too.
Yes, please.
But as I processed that, I was a young Christian, and that was like the first time I was like, for a lot of us, that we could say, oh, this is us. This is who we could be. And he was giving us music to who we could be, but it was still very, Christ-centered and rooted. But he was giving us a sound that we could connect to.
Yes.
And then the second time I would say is, and this has kind of been all music driven, but I think it's so important. The second time is 2014, late 2014. There was a release of an album called Black Messiah by D'Angelo and the Vanguard.
My.
And that's one of my top 5 albums ever.
Wow.
For me. And D'Angelo and the Vanguard took all the frenetic, chaotic energy of the movement. And you remember I put on, the cultural artifacts, but they took all the frenetic, chaotic energy of the movement and channeled it into a project in a way that was so subversive and angry and discordant and hopeful. And the end of the album is Another Life, which is like this mellow, chill summation of everything, and it kind of brings it back. There was something about that album that whenever I'm feeling overwhelmed by the movement, overwhelmed by injustice, I always go back to that album.
Man, I'm glad you reminded me of that.
You got to put that on your.
I just put it on the playlist. Absolutely.
Oh man! Even the prayer, like he has a prayer, like he does the Lord's Prayer, the Desmond Tutu joint. It's just, oh my goodness, I could talk about that. But that's like a moment for me when I was like, oh, like I needed this right now.
Yeah. So I think there's a flourishing of Black art right now, which has been something to witness, really a sight to behold. So you have pop culture kind of art. Like when Beyonce dropped the Lemonade album, it was a moment. Like it felt like a shift in the cultural landscape. And so you were talking earlier about, sort of what is the lasting impact, or what was This Is America, the song for. I think sort of the opposite of that, and the one that did have this sort of lasting impact is still the subject of conversation among a lot of folks is that album.
Yeah.
But there's other kinds of art, right? So I think of the huge significance of having an artist like Kehinde Wiley.
Right. Oh, I knew you were going there.
The presidential portrait of Barack Obama. And when you see this, so it's Obama. If you haven't seen the picture or need to be reminded of it, it's a portrait, and it's President Obama sitting on a chair, sort of on the edge of the chair, leaning forward, very powerful yet relaxed pose. But the background is what's so stark, and it's all these ivy leaves. It's just a field of ivy leaves. And so every president has their portrait painted for them. And as you look across the dozens and dozens and dozens of portraits, not only are they all white men, but they're all these very traditional headshot kind of things. And then boom, Kehinde Wiley's portrait. Like you can't miss it. And it so stands out in the controversy and the conversation that it sparked, but it was appropriate for the moment, not only for the first Black president, but for what we were experiencing as Black people in America.
You bring up a really interesting point, and this is, as we think about the witness of Black art and the witness of art in general, my question is, in this particular context in 2020, are Black Christians appreciating art as we should? And I think for a lot of us, what we tend to do is we don't tend to appreciate risk, and we don't tend to appreciate art that pushes us in ways that are uncomfortable, right? And that's what I felt like, even being honest, like that's what I felt like, This Is America did. Like it pushed us in a way that was uncomfortable, and it may not have been a lasting impact. It may not have been something that lives on and we talk about for 20, 30 years. But for that moment, there was something that needed to be said through that. And it was.
Yeah.
And it captured people. And so the question is, do we have a proper Christian perspective, a robust view of what art is, what it should be, and then what it can be? And to allow us to really say, if our God is creative, and if our God values our flourishing, and if our God sees the broad expanse of the world and speaks a world that is beautiful into existence, then how much more so for us to be co-creators, to be participators in the creativity of that creative God. And so I'm asking this question as a pastor as well. I'm asking this question as a faith leader. I'm asking this question as someone who's a part of the movement. Are we valuing art? And are we valuing all of art well? Because I think our fundamentalist distinctions of what art should and shouldn't be, I think they've been broken down because we've seen so much of God's good common grace from unexpected sources.
Right. I mean, it begs the question, what is our theology of the arts or theology of art? Because you mentioned the word creation and creative, which expands the conversation, right? Because when we think about art, we're thinking in these categories: music, movies, poetry, those kinds of things. But there's an artistic element to creation and creativity. Yeah. Right. So I don't know. This is out of my depth.
No, I mean, but I think it's something for us to kind of think through, and it also intersects with justice too. Because I mean, a big part of art that we didn't even discuss is fashion.
Yeah. Oh man.
That's a big part of art, and we didn't even discuss this.
Right. We talked about like the Black Panther leather jackets, but there's so much more to it. Dashikis and whatnot.
Yeah,
but
modern art and the way it's perceived. What I think we need is, the Witness believes deeply as a unit that we need not just theology, not just justice, not just history, but we need artistry.
Yes.
And that means that the creatives have to come forth. The creatives have to be given space to create, room to operate, room to invent, challenge, and summarize where we are. So we look to the creatives. Like I envision this room, right? So we have the historians, and we have the pastors, and we have the activists and advocates, and we have the politicians, and we have the everyday lay people from the economists and the corporate people who are connected in organizations and in popular culture. And we have the healthcare providers who are going to be how are we going to have a movement if we're not putting artists and creatives at the table and telling them to challenge us with their art, to challenge us? And it's this creeping suspicion, even as well, like in my preaching and my leading, that I'm not incorporating enough art, because I'm like, well, there's a linear way of explaining all this. There's an intellectual way, but some people will only get it through the sound.
Art. Yeah.
Some people will only get it through the creativity.
I so saw this as a middle school teacher and principal, that there were some kids who could sit in the classroom and listen to the teacher explain it or get the worksheet or whatever it might be. But there were so many students whose genius and potential wasn't unlocked until they had the opportunity to express it artistically. And that could be through painting, that could be through dancing, that could be through an instrument, whatever it might be. Mm-hmm. But they were actually, it almost appeared that they were different people because their humanity had a release.
Wow.
Had a chance to express themselves. So I absolutely believe that as Christian leaders, we need to be thinking about the arts because there are going to be people who are in our care,
Yeah. Man, I even think about the person who's on our team that our resident creative, Adam Keeley.
Yeah, man.
Comedy.
Man, yes, absolutely. So life-giving.
Like the satire and the lament and the laughter and the trauma laughter and all that. And you know, what I think we have to do is there are times where strategically justice advocates, preachers, pastors, historians have to actually intentionally take a step back and push the creatives forward and say, now is your time. And how much of our resistance to the current administration and regime, how much of our resistance to injustice has been stunted and has only reached a certain level because we're using the same conventional tactics,
My.
Which are our words and our scholarship. And we just lean so much on that. And how much of it is we have to pull that back and we have to push forward the creatives. You know, in biblical times, what did they do when they went into a battle? They put the praisers in the front, like they put the instruments in the front.
Yeah,
and so it's like it's centering praise, of course, and it's invoking the presence of God as they went into battle. But then there's a greater, broader imagery, which is put the creatives in front, see what happens.
Wow,
and to follow them and see where they take us.
So I've always thought that every justice movement needs at least three elements: the assembly, meaning the church, the people of God, the academy, meaning scholarship, the intellectual portion, but also the arts. And those three things, when they work in tandem, are a potent force for positive change: the academy, the assembly, and the arts.
That's so good. The academy, the assembly, and the arts. Yeah. That's core witness.
That's how we structured our conference, actually.
Yes, exactly. That's the best practices right there. That's a little insider.
Let me name a couple of examples of art that I just think are really important. First of all, blues music. Yeah. So I live in the Mississippi Delta, the birthplace of blues music. And it's such an authentically Black way of expression because it arises out of our suffering and it doesn't shy away from it. It doesn't sort of hit you with this saccharine sweet, life isn't as bad as you think it is. Blues music says, no, life is really bad. It's blue. But when we sing about it, we have some agency over it.
Yeah.
The suffering and the sorrow doesn't control us. No, we control it. We put it in rhyme and meter and verse and the blues scale, and it's so gritty. It is a grassroots kind of art that people practiced with the instruments they had available, whether that was a tin can or a washboard or a guitar that they had handmade, and so authentic blues music has this transparency to it and this simplicity of, I don't have a lot, but I'm rich. It's an incredible thing that you can only experience. Blues music helps you get there, but come visit the Delta and you'll see what it's like. Yeah. And it's just a beautiful expression.
Dude, I love that, man. And then for me, it would definitely be, I'm gonna say this. Yeah, I've talked about this a little bit on the podcast, but man, stepping, bro.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely love it. Stepping.
I know what I'm going to do in the ask questions portion.
Okay, bet. So no, I'm not stepping on the podcast, but stepping, man. Absolutely. I think the physicality. I think there's a level of. I think our worlds, what it tends to do is it, even as you think about TV streaming, like it's trying to make us sedentary, and our power comes through our movement. Barbara Holmes talks about this in Joy Unspeakable. She talks about how the movement in like an African circle, the movement is designed to open us up and prepare us for what God will do. And so it's almost like this anticipation. It's why you hear a lot of preachers and a lot of pastors, they say, don't wait till the battle is over. Shout now. Why? They're trying to get you prepared bodily, body, mind, and soul for what God is about to do. It's anticipation, but it's also orienting your body as well.
Right.
And so I think for me, stepping, even whether it's Christian, non-Christian context, I think it's just so powerful to like engage your body and really prepare yourself for what's going to happen.
And it's attached to Black fraternities and sororities and the culture that goes with it, which is a culture of service and pride and Afrocentricity. And so it feels like this really pro-Black kind of
it is.
expression.
It is.
And the movements themselves are so assertive, so powerful. We're in a world that insists that we be quiet and stay in our place.
Of course.
Stepping not only steps, it stomps.
Yes.
It claps.
Disruptive.
It shouts.
Yeah.
And, when they do it on the square at a university, if you've had the privilege of seeing it, oh my goodness. Like, you could be going to your anthropology class at 11 a.m. and they stepping in the yard.
There them boys.
You have to pause.
Of course. They
You have to
strolling
think
or
about
doing
it.
whatever. Of course.
It's pageantry. It's amazing. I'll mention one more piece that I think is critically important, especially as it pertains to conversations about justice, and that's performance art. One of my favorite episodes of Pass the Mic ever was a very brief interview we got to do with Bree Newsom. Bree Newsom is an activist in North Carolina, and she does this work, but she's an artist. And she has been and still is an artist. And so if you know her name, you probably know her from when she climbed the flagpole in front of the State House in South Carolina after the Emanuel 9 massacre. And she physically took down the Confederate flag that was in front of the State House, and she got arrested for it and all this iconic picture of her holding the flag while still atop the pole.
Powerful.
It's so powerful.
Image.
And she described it as performance art. What a lot of people don't realize is that this took tons of planning, discipline, coordination, and it was choreographed almost like a dance was.
Wow.
To be a form of art that was protest. And even if you look at something like the civil rights movement, when you look at direct action nonviolence, the marches, the sit-ins, etc., a lot of those were, again, choreographed to demonstrate, illustrate, dramatize the injustice of racism and Jim Crow segregation. And so it was designed to promote and evoke a response, but it was planned carefully to do so. And so, this was a whole philosophy, right? Yeah. Like you have to dramatize the injustice in order to get people to care.
Man, so the academy, assembly, and the arts, the three core elements of the movement, the three core elements of a witness movement. I love that, man. I hope we get more opportunities to really show that.
Yes.
Even as we go to certain events.
Let me put in a plug. One of my dreams for the Witness website has always been to feature more of the arts. So if you're listening to this and you do spoken word poetry, you create videos, you do visual art, whatever it might be, we would love to see that on the Witness. You send us whatever art it is, give us an explanation from your faith perspective about what this is and why you're doing it. And it doesn't have to be explicitly Christian at all. Just tell us what the soul is behind that art, and we'll post it. We'll be glad to point people to artists. And I don't know why it hasn't caught on. Maybe I just haven't vocalized it enough, but we want art.
Because we ain't that artistic. I think that's probably it. But as you guys know, thank you for listening to The Witness of the Arts. But of course, we have our 3-question segment coming. So stay tuned for that right here on Pass the Mic. Hey everybody, this is Tyler. Listen, Pass the Mic would not be here. We would not be who we are if not for the support of each one of you, our listeners. So we thank you, we appreciate you, but we also want to offer each of you the chance to help this show to keep going and growing by heading over to iTunes right now and writing us a review for this podcast. Just saying a few words of how this show is encouraging or inspiring you, it helps PTM greatly. And it doesn't cost you a dime to do it. Now, that being said, if you do have the funds to support the show, at any time, we encourage you to head over to patreon.com/Pass the Mic to learn more about how your dollars can help fuel the growth of this podcast. Again, that's patreon.com/Pass the Mic. And we are back right here on Pass the Mic for everybody's favorite segment, 3 questions with Jemar and Tyler. Jemar, I'm going to let you go first.
Okay. This relates to something we were talking about earlier. Tell us about your experience stepping at Liberty University.
Yeah, so I stepped with Alpha Nu Psi. It was a brotherhood. We're not allowed to say we had fraternities, but it was a frat. And so we stepped.
You guys made that frat, right?
I didn't, but it was. I came, I think, 3 years after it started.
Okay, so, but it originated within the university.
Yeah, it originated within the university, and so that was a lot of fun. So I had the opportunity to do some stepping there. What we used to always do is before the games, especially for the pledges, we used to always have to do stuff before the football games. So we used to have to step like before the games and stuff like that. And like in the middle of the games, they would make us do crazy things like run up and down the steps.
Oh, nice.
And scream out and stomp and do all that type of stuff.
Humbling.
So that was very humbling. I was like, what am I doing here? But I crossed. I made it. So it was all good. If you could pick 3 famous people to be part of your entourage, who would you pick? Your entourage, your plastic cup boys / gals.
Oh my gosh. Oh wow. I guess. I mean, it totally depends on what you're doing. Am I a movie star? Am I just a talking head?
You're Jemar Tisby.
My gracious.
See, who's your squad? Who's your squad? 3 famous people that you don't know.
Killing me. I'm terrible at this stuff on the spot.
Exactly. That's why we're doing it.
I don't know if I say this, if he's gonna be embroiled in any scandal or says something funny, but Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Okay, yeah, that would be one of my picks for sure.
He's a very good hype man.
Look, I'm trying to get The Rock. Yeah. Also, you see how he treats Kevin Hart. You're like, yeah, man, we can be best buds.
Knew you were gonna go there. I just left myself open, let my guard down. Halle Berry.
Wow. Okay.
Come on now.
Don't get yourself in trouble.
Movie stars. I think she brings some dignity and some professionalism.
Yeah, true.
She'll probably keep us out of trouble. And somebody wacky or zany. Kel.
Oh, Kel Mitchell from Kenan and Kel?
Yes.
The dude just got ordained. That's really interesting.
See,
did you know that? He just got ordained.
Okay.
Yeah, he just got ordained, I believe, as a youth pastor.
He probably wants to be on Pass the Mic, don't you think?
I think it's interesting. I think he actually just spoke at Liberty University, too.
Huh. So you guys have that in common.
Yeah, so that's very, very interesting. So you never know. We might get a little Kel Mitchell love on PTM. So, okay, it's your second question.
Yeah. Your favorite piece of clothing, not a category of clothing, your favorite piece of clothing.
Oh, my favorite singular piece of clothing?
Yes.
Oof. Man, so I think I would probably say my Air Force Ones.
Huh.
I'd probably say my Air Force Ones. It's just versatile. I gotta get a new pair because I've been cleaning them, but then, you get dirty so quickly.
Yep.
But I just love them. They're very comfortable and they kind of go with anything. So you got a black suit,
add a lot of flavor to it.
Air Force Ones. You got some joggers. You can wear some Forces. I think it's one of my favorite things. So when I put on the Forces, I feel ready. Like I feel like go tackle the day. So that's always the last thing I do. Like right before I go out, leave and go to the garage. I'll put on my Forces, lace it up, take a deep breath, Say, all right, let's do it. Yeah, okay.
Laced up. Game time, baby. Let's get it in.
All right, if you were an Olympic athlete, what sport would you compete in?
Track, probably.
Really?
The stereotype.
I'm shocked. I thought you would have said.
People.
I thought you would have said boxing.
Boxing is really brutal, man. It's fun. It's a great sport.
You great at it too.
I used to be a boxer.
Yeah.
The first thing that came to mind was curling.
That's fire. That's fire, actually.
I have no idea. I was thinking, what might I possibly ever be in the Olympics for? The closest thing would be boxing because I've done it. Doesn't mean I'm Olympic caliber.
Right.
Or running,
Okay.
So, yeah.
Bet.
What's one goal you have for 2020?
One goal I have for 2020. Oof. Man. I don't know if I want to share my goals with y'all. I don't know if
Accountability, come on.
I know y'all gonna be like, wait, what you doing on that goal? I don't know, man. One goal that I have. That's a tough one. I do want to preach. I do want to preach 40 times this year. So
wow,
I want to kind of want to preach 40 times. I haven't done that yet. I mean, in like a main church context. Like I've preached in, youth services for years, but
yeah,
kind of like a main church context, really get in.
If people invite you places to preach, does that count as one of the 40?
Yeah. Okay. I do that. I'll go and speak. So if anybody wants to.
Yeah, I was about to say. Yeah. And Tyler is a preacher, boy. Go listen to our episode on the witness of preaching.
Yeah, I'll do it. I'll come to your area. I'll go anywhere once. So, Tyler at thewitnessbcc.com. Hit me up. Let me know. Final question. If you had to sing one song to save your life.
To save my life.
To save your life. Like it's a wrap. If you don't make it happen, you out of here. One song to save your life. What would it be?
Paul Robeson version of Let My People Go.
Very appropriate too.
When Israel came to Egypt land, let my people go. They worked so hard they could not stand. Let my people go. Go. Now you see?
Yo, that's like an all-time Pastor Mike moment. I couldn't believe you started singing. Bro, that was incredible, man.
What else you supposed to do? You said a song to save your life. You didn't know he had a gun to my head. No, I'm just kidding.
No, we pacifists around here. No guns. No guns around here. Thanks so much for you guys tuning in to part 4 of Can I Get a Witness? We want you to continue to give us feedback. You can follow us at _Pastor Mike, at The Witness BCC, at Burns23, at Jemar Tisby. Come back next week for part 5 of our series. You do not want to miss it. We'll see you next time right here on Pass the Mic.